here talking to Ralph Knausch about his 1946 Indian Chief. Ralph, what's the story behind this bike?
I, many years ago, was interested in owning a Indian motorcycle, and I really got to enjoy the way they look. So I started trying to figure out how I was going to get an Indian, and I decided to build one. And so I started with a 1948 frame, but later on, friends of mine told me that there was a 1946 engine available. So I went to Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, to look at a engine. And as you'll see by the poster, the engine had a lot of different parts with it. And so when I got it home, I set it up as the bike that it was, and decided that I could save a lot of the parts that were in it. And that's where the 1946 Indian Chief project started 3 years ago, when I brought the basket case home to start working on it.
Wow, that's amazing. And looking at the poster and seeing that that's what it started off as, and this is what it is now. Tell me a little bit more about the hours that you put into making this project what it is.
Yeah, well, first of all, I had to greatly modify the original project into what the original Chief was. And so I bought parts off of eBay, particularly the front stem, where I had to cut off the Harley stem that they had welded on the Indian frame and weld the Indian neck back onto the frame. And then also the rear shock holders were different from, these are Harley rear wheel holders. I had to put Indian rear shock holders back on the Indian frame. And so I started by totally bead blasting or sandblasting the frame and cutting off the Harley pieces and welding Indian pieces back onto the frame.
Amazing, amazing. Tell me a little bit more about the man who helped you restore the engine. That's a neat story.
Oh, yes. There's a gentleman by the name of Dean Hansen who lives in Sleepy, Minnesota. And ever since he was 17 years old, he grew up on a farm, and he's been interested in Indian motorcycles, and he's been restoring Indian motors and Indian bikes ever since he was 17, and he's a little over 60 right now. And so I went to him because of his wealth of information about Indian motorcycles and motors to have him restore my motor.
Wonderful. And he did a beautiful job. It's a gorgeous bike. Now, you have the title Junk Bike on the front fender there. Where did you get the idea or the inspiration for that?
The reason I call it my junk bike is just about every piece in this motorcycle was at some point in time someone else's junk. I can point to just about every piece on the motorcycle and tell you who I bought it from, because everything was totally in pieces when I put this bike together.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, as beautiful and completed as it is now, it's very evident the hours and love that you put into it. Now, the biggest question I have, do you ride this on the road?
I have not yet. We just got it started and running a week and a half ago, and we are now getting to the point where we're going to start riding the motorcycle.
Well, that's excellent. I wish you many hours of enjoyment and great rides. You did a beautiful job. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.